Anyway, looks like people are getting into the right spot. Um, so been a pretty busy last couple of weeks for a bunch of people traveling and whatnot. Thanks to Gadgender and everyone on this call for holding down the fort and continuing to move things forward and host the calls and in my absence. So I really appreciate that and looking forward to getting caught up to speed and see where things are at. Maybe we can just start with client updates. Zine, do you guys want to start us off?
I will, yeah, we can start off. And so it seems like things were a bit slow because of Dev Connect, but in the meantime, we were working for Lean Quick Start Interop for the net one, and sort of we took Lean Quick Start to the point now where we can have the interop between different clients. And right now, Zeem and Dream is trying the interop, and we are facing some issues over there, but I think we should be able to resolve it pretty soon. And then we should also be able to interop with other clients.
Yeah,
Excellent.
and for Veeam, that's pretty similar, I guess. So mostly prepare for DevNet 1. Last week we added support for like the latest Genesis config, validated registry, and so on. I think our code is also up to date with all the lean spec changes, including all the like the small refactors. And yeah, so mostly I think we'll be just discussing, debugging the interop issues that we are seeing with Seam right now.
Great. Lantern.
Yep. Hi, everyone. So yeah, I'm sort of in a similar situation. I'm currently using Lean Quick Start. I'm basically being able to use Lantern against Zine. I've added support for Lantern command script, and it will accept the config that Lean Quick Start is using. It's able to connect with Zeem. It's able to send votes via the gossip and receive blocks. And I'm just basically currently debugging issues where like the chain cannot finalize or like the state ends up diverging. So I'm just currently debugging those, and I will be reaching out to the Zeem team later this week with a PR for like the Lantern integration. But yeah, that's basically what I've been working on. Yeah.
Great. And clean.
Yeah, well, should I say that we're also in the same situation? Yeah, basically, we caught up with the spec recently, at least for the state of spec for the day before yesterday, I believe. Yeah, so that we have hash sync and everything, even updating for the most recent lean sync. Yeah, also starting checking the interop. Yeah, we will create a pull request to the link quick start, I think, in the nearest future. Yeah, we just yeah had some technical issues to create a Docker. Once it's there, yeah, we'll open a pull request so that it's easier also to test with clean for others. Yeah, currently I just locally tried to run it together with Zeem, but it didn't work. I didn't have much time to debug the issues, but yeah, it's the environment for debugging is there. So yeah, also starting to the checks what's going on. Thanks.
Okay. I was trying to add a poll, my first poll in Zoom. I don't think it went successfully. I was going to ask, currently at this time, among the devs, it sounds like sort of a repeated theme in the feedback. I'm just trying to get a sense of where we're at with things. In terms of the percent of cycles of, the work contributed right now to the DevNet, would you say that it's like 50% to DevNet related infrastructure that will be repeated and 50% to spec related, like implementation of the signature aggregation and like the sort of theme and the features of the DevNet, or like more than 50% going to infrastructure or less than just curious if we could do kind of maybe a quick around the horn in terms of like getting a sense of in aggregate, like how much work is going to like infrastructure versus the actual features of the DevNet. There is no like right or wrong answer. I'm just trying to get a sense of things.
I mean, if you mean by infrastructure is the interop configurations that we are trying to do, for example, in Kickstart, I think it's 15% of the total work. Rest 85% is definitely going for spec and client implementation.
Great. Sorry, did you say 15 or 50?
So 15% I would say for infrastructure and the 85% for client implementation and spec development.
Okay, great. That's good to know. Yeah, that helps a lot. Excellent. So then maybe moving on to spec-related updates.
Yeah, I can. Let's close. Maybe
Yeah,
you
sorry,
had a
just very
yeah.
quickly before we go to the spec side of thing. I think it would be great if Manash from Lighthouse could also give a quick update. I've talked to him last week at DevConnect, so maybe Manash take the chance and give a quick
Thanks
update.
very much. Yeah, great.
Yeah, hey guys. So I missed the client updates section, but yeah, I spoke with Ladislaus and Buenos Aires. Like I did some grinding through DevConnect, and then like I was able to interrupt the current spec with Lighthouse. I haven't been able to like do it with other clients. I'm still like working on it, but yeah, the like Lighthouse is currently like interoping with itself. I haven't posted it yet, like all the implementation. I'll probably like finish everything and then maybe post the PR to Lighthouse, which contains all the Lighthouse consensus on the PNQ Telegram group, just for like getting some eyes on it. Thanks, guys. Yeah, that was mostly my update from my side.
Great to hear. Thanks, Manas.
Thank you.
Any remaining client updates? Okay. Spec updates. I think Tomas, you wanted to start?
Yeah, I can talk. I think that I have various elements in mind. The first one is that I have just understood from your words in client updates. It seems that maybe you had difficulties to keep up with the recent change in the lean spec. So for me, this is just like refactoring regarding like the current status of the spec that we have to make things easier to read, to make things cleaner, to decouple properly the files, to try to remove some duplicates. So this is just basic refactor. So if you want us to stop this kind of PR before we do DevNet 1, that is totally fine for me, so that you can keep focus on the core stuff you are doing and not spread yourself among like various minor updates. So if you want that, you don't have to answer it right now. You can think about it and we can discuss offline. But if you want us to stop working on this kind of small PRs until we reach DevNet 1, this is totally fine. We can just keep up after that. On the spec, I found that recently it was a bit of a mess for you about serialization and deserialization of signatures. I have seen a bunch of PRs from various people from various teams to touch the signature size, the number of bytes and stuff. So that seems a bit messy. And I just discovered very recently that what you were doing is that you were doing like a serialization towards like via bean code and then from bean code to SSZ, because SSZ was not natively available on the LeanSig repo directly. On the LeanSig repo directly, up to now, we just had like a basic bean code derivation of serialization and deserialization. And so it was, if I understood correctly, it was a bit of a mess for you. So when I discovered this, I directly implemented the SSZ serialization in the LeanSig. Speaking about which, like Will just dropped the link for 2 PRs in the LeanSig repo. So last week, beginning of last week, Benedict just moved the repo from the old repository to this new one. So we will have now these 2 repositories that will exist together. The one of Benedict will be very close to the paper without any optimization and just something really representing the paper. And the second one that we'll just drop the link to will be dedicated to speed and Ethereum usage. So for example, we removed SHA and we removed a bunch of useless things and we implemented SIMD optimization techniques inside this. So this will be dedicated to speed and to Ethereum. TLDR is that for you client teams, you should use this new repo. And in the 2 PR, I have just started implementing the SSZ. After we merge the second PR, SSZ should be complete on the rest. So you will be able to use the classical SSZ encoding and decoding that you are used to. For this implementation, I just use the Sigma Prime implementation that is used by REST, for example. So very basic. It seems that what you're using RIM. So please, the first PR is merge, the number 12. Please, when you have time, just check the number 14. So it is a bit big because this concerns a bunch of objects. We have to apply that to the secret keys and to the signatures and for everything to be SSZ compatible. And I have added a bunch of tests to be sure about what I am doing. So please check that. The ideal situation, like I mentioned in the channel yesterday, is that for you, RIM team, to just run a bunch of tests by plugging your repo to this branch to see if everything is smooth or if you have like panics or errors or anything. Once this is done, and after your review and the review of Benedict, I will merge this. And after that, I will replace all of the serialization in the lean spec by this serialization. So this means that everything that we have done to transform to bits and from bits to signature, I will remove all of this and I will just replace by the simple SSZ serialization that we have with tests to be sure that we are all on the same page. So that is one point. About DevNet 1, I don't know. If I have 2 things in mind. So either we continue like this for DevNet 1, everything is fine with this, and we just continue and we can keep the full SSZ stuff without bean code for DevNet 2. Or you feel that this is too much of a nightmare for you, you have many troubles, and so this means that we have to review and merge the number 14 PR as soon as possible for me to be able to do the lean spec equivalent as soon as possible for you guys to be able to run on this. So that is up to you. For me, this changed nothing. So just up to you, client teams, what is the best solution for you? If all of the bugs are solved and right now you don't have any more issues with that, I just recommend you to just keep as is and we can just have this for DevNet 2. Otherwise, I recommend that we switch now. So that was my first point, something that I wanted to do in the spec. Secondly, in the spec, I feel that now the test vectors are too slow to run, even after all of the updates we have made. I think on the CI right now, it takes like 3 or 4 minutes because we have to generate the keys. And even if we have a caching system that reuse the keys and stuff, this still is too long because we have like less than 30 tests, I think. And I think it is too long and not friendly to run on a local computer, because even for one single test, it is about 1 minute, because the fact that you generate one test or multiple tests doesn't change the fact that you have to generate the key. So I have to think about this after serialization, but I have to think about this. Probably the best solution would be to pre-generate the keys, store them into a JSON file or something, and just read the JSON file. It will be much, much faster. And so it will be much more friendly to debugging and test running locally. So that are my two main points that I have on the spec. So first, the SSD. So please, guys, review the PRs in Rust. No, it will be no for so while we are at this and with the comments that I made about like LeanSig compatibility, it will be removed with SSD. Everything will be smooth and compatible. So yeah, no problem anymore with SSD with that. So my second point was about like slowness of the test. So I will try to make them faster after we solve SSD. And I had a third point to raise. It was about the lean VM. I think that Emil is in this call.
Yes.
Yeah, and so as far as I understand, as you have raised in the group, you have worked a bit to make things compatible with the client teams, so that for DevNet 2, they will be able to interoperate and call your lean VM to aggregate signatures. So the floor is yours, maybe just to explain. Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know to what extent it is really compatible because, as explained in the previous call, due to the non-ZK friendliness of the encoding currently implemented, it's not the same XMSS. So, but what I have done is a file in which I have put all the relevant structures and functions that enables you to sign, verify, aggregate sign and aggregate verify signatures, and also generates secret and public keys. But I have no idea what format, like if you want the signature to be a bunch of bytes or if you want it to be a vector of Colabert field elements, I don't know. So if someone has feedback on what is required, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, please, like,
Wasn't
yeah.
the plan last week that we, sorry, wasn't the plan last week or last meeting that we use the scheme that is currently in the LeanSig and we just do a naive aggregation of the randomness, and then the rest is proven? So what you now said sounds like you just have another signature scheme.
No, okay,
So
okay,
then
okay,
you would
because,
not build on DevNet 1, right?
Yeah, okay. I didn't have time to do this, but I will definitely do it. But also, I don't know to what extent it's easier if I do everything in a single crate or if I create a branch in the LeanSig repository. And also, I would have
I mean,
to
ideally it should be I don't know, it should be a new crate that uses the LeanSig thing as a black box.
Yeah, I recommend that as well, because
Okay.
So first about the schemes that you just described, it is not like something that you should do right now, because for DevNet 1 we will not have aggregation, and so this is a topic for DevNet 2, so this is not for tomorrow. And for the crates, I would recommend also like to just create a small crate in the LeanSig repo, because when you will upgrade with new performance things, and it seems that you have new performance updates that should arrive very soon, then if you do a separate branch, that it will not take into account this new performance optimization. So that is probably better to have a crate that can be updated as long as you update performance, I guess.
Okay. I will do this. Okay. But so okay. So to be clear, it's not like extremely urgent. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know you client teams if you have like a sense on when you will start to be interested by this. In any case, I think that Emil just dropped the link of his work in the lean dev channel that we have on Telegram, so that you can maybe just start to check and see what is okay, what is wrong, what you can call or not. But yeah, maybe this should be useful for you first to check this, and second to give maybe Emil a timeline of when you want to start looking at this.
I think Tama, at one point you mentioned not for tomorrow. Is the schedule that brings us to the next topic about the DevNet 1 schedule. Sorry if I missed this. Is the schedule for that to go live tomorrow? Or Salius, I also see you have your hand up.
So just a one note that Grandina is also working on the Lean client, which is still very early days, so we are not giving updates. But for this signature library, the note would be that we have our own SSE library, so there may be some inconveniences if the signature library will be kind of connected or or locked into Lighthouse SSE library.
Yeah, I understand your point.
Yeah, okay, so just keep in mind that maybe.
I think it should be discussed with Benedict. Benedict, I don't know if maybe as you didn't review that yet, maybe you don't have a full sense of this, but in summary, I use the Ethereum SSZ library that is provided by the Sigma Prime folks. And so I integrate this directly into the LeanSig repo. But if you guys have to use your own SSZ library, that means that we will have to put the fields inside the signature public so that you can access them and implement your own SSZ, right?
You could also just export a function which just gives us like the bytes as well, which is what like BLS like.
But I mean, wasn't that okay? Maybe I mean I'm not an expert on Rust and serialization, but like, wasn't that the initial thing that we had? Like all the types were kind of they had serialized and deserialized already.
Yeah,
and
but
then, Omar, you said there's some sort of problem with bin code or something, which I don't know. What
yeah, because in fact, the initial stuff that we had was bin code serialization. So you just derive, serialize, and deserialize from CRD crates.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's automatically transform your signature object into a bunch of bytes, for example. But this use a very specific format of Rust that is bin code with a bunch of specific stuff. And at the end, what client teams were doing is that they were doing from the signature to bytes via bind code, and then from this to SSZ, because at the end they just want SSZ to work and nothing else. And if we had to replicate the bin code serialization format in Python, this was a nightmare because the field was serialized using Montgomery form. And so this means that we will have to add like Montgomery form into Python. In summary, this was a mess. And at the end, what they just want is SSZ. So I found it more convenient to implement a SSZ derivation as well, in complement to the traditional CRD serialization, so that you guys can play with it. But yeah, we can, for granting TLDR, is that we will find a way to expose you the proper bytes so that you can interpret via any SSZ libraries that you have in mind. Yeah. And yeah, if you can give before we talk about like DevNet one and stuff, as Will just mentioned, if in the Telegram group you can give a sense, you don't have to do that now, but in the coming days or weeks, to give a sense of the timeline for Emil to check the compatibility with the LinVM, I think it could help him to check this when needed.
All right. Yeah, and thanks for migrating over that or creating that lean sig repo within the lean Ethereum org. So now I guess let's maybe just get a better sense of where we're at in the path to shipping DevNet 1. Do people have a date in mind or a percentage that they can assign to completeness in terms of having all the specs implemented that we're hoping to feature in DevNet 1?
I think Ream and Zeem are ready. I'm not sure about the other clients. We're mostly just like fixing interop bugs right now.
Maybe Clean, Lantern, Lighthouse,
Yeah,
Grandine, if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, for Clean, I would say we're very close to start fixing interop bugs, or already starting.
Yep. From our side as well, just resolving interop bugs. And yeah, we'll reach out to the Zeem team with the PR for integrating Lantern into Quick Start. Yeah.
And then,
Yep.
sorry, Lighthouse, I don't know if, yeah, go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, right now, like I'm in dropping with Lighthouse, but I'm gonna try to do and drop with other clients as well. But since I've not done like and drop with other clients, I'm not sure if I'm spec compliant for DevNet 1. So I just wanted to know what's an exact spec for DevNet 1 so that I can like cross verify if I've implemented everything. Since maybe I might have missed the exact call where like the DevNet 1 specs were like confirmed.
Yeah, and for Grandina, we actually have a bit different flow. I think the code base is a bit immature. However, we started to debug it by doing interop. So technically, we are doing interop, but I think we are behind some other teams that are doing interop now.
Yeah, well, so maybe I think we can drop another MD file like we had for DevNet 0 to provide for the spec for DevNet 1 and the various images and branches that are relevant. So yeah, we should come up with that, and maybe me or O can do this PR.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think that we started sort of months ago, with, I think, Katya pasted a link to the ETH ops style, one pager for DevNet. Personally, I would love to get back to that and would be, more than willing to help maintain it. I think getting it started at this point is going to be uh, a pretty heavy lift for me. I just don't have the context, but um, yeah. Oh, if you could get that started and open a PR in the PM repo of the Lean Ethereum org, that would be fantastic. And then you can rely on me to uh, I'm getting in the habit of keeping the weekly meeting issue full of PRs, or that's kind of the goal that I have for myself. And so I can just keep reconciling that with the DevNet one pager as we go. So I would be more than happy to really sort of lead on that ritual. I think it's just a matter of getting it started. For DevNet 1 completion, in addition to successful interop and chain finalizing, we should have metrics collected based on baseline hardware, or sorry, should we have metrics collected based on some baseline hardware and specs as well? I assume we want to start tracking some performance. Yes, and that could be a good segue into Katya talking about metrics. Katya.
Yes, hello everyone. So the updates about metrics, this is why I asked about the one resource for DevNet 1, so not to lose anything. I would like to start already to add some DevNet 1 metrics, but I still can't get the metrics from all three clients. So currently I can see already state transition metrics from Zim. Sorry, I just got back yesterday from DevConnect, so I can see state transition metrics from Zim. And there is, we have a discussion about fork choice metrics, which Zim probably could look into. There is some issue with the gossip and blocks attestations. So, and I would like to know the status from Ream clients. So, are the metrics, DevNet metrics, DevNet 0 metrics maybe merged already, or we can collaborate on this?
Someone on our team merged them. I think you should run Ream and check if it meets your standards, but we're basically using your guys' dashboard in our internal tooling, and our team members said it works, so let us know.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Okay, so until the next call, I'm going to check all the three clients. I want to see them on one dashboard, and I will keep you updated, and we'll look into DevNet 1 as soon as I have some maybe updates, new PR for DevNet 1. And I copied the wish list from the Ream team, so I can start working on this. Thank you. And one question about attestations. So there are attestations from the block and from gossip. Do we want to split them on the metrics side? We can add label, let's say block and gossip, just to identify them, where they come from. So if that makes sense, please feel free to let me know, maybe in the Telegram group or. And I wonder if regress also expected to be added later, or we are just on gossip. Because in this case, regress metric will also, label will also be added. But we can add it later. Currently, we have the param in the verification function in the specs is block or something like that. but maybe it's not the one case. It can be block or gossip or later recresp. So it can be three options later.
Yeah, I think we should have different labels, and one of the label that, as you mentioned, is the total, the normal network gossip attestation that is there, and then gossip block attestation. And I don't know whether there is any use for request blocks attestations, because I mean, if client is pulling blocks and processing them, I don't know what we want to get out from there. So in my eyes, there are two sort of labels that should exist for attestations, which is just network attestations, and the other is gossip block attestations.
Yes, got it. Okay, thank you. So as soon as I have 3 teams on the dashboards, I can try to add labels. I will keep you updated. Thank you.
Thanks, Kasia. Any other discussion items? So, I appreciate your offering to prepare the one pager by the end of the week or so. And yeah, that'll be a great resource for us to have, and one that I will take pride in maintaining moving forward. So is there a target date that we want to have for DevNet 1? Should we say by a week from today that we're celebrating it in the next call?
I guess that's a little hard to determine just because it depends on how quick we can finish testing interop bugs between clients. But I think we should have a good answer next call if we're ready or not.
Sounds like a great plan. So yeah, the goal for next week is to just really get full visibility on interop bugs and de-risk a timeline, have the one pager pulled together, and really
and we
have a
can
lot
also
of
start looking at the lean VM API. I think Emil shared, and then we can basically also think about how we'll integrate that. It looks simple enough from the first looks of it, but yes, I think that is something that we can also talk about in the next call.
Fantastic. Is there anything that would be blocking anyone's ability to move on those things or make significant progress on those things that we can talk about right now for the last 20 minutes? Are there any other just open discussion items that may be orthogonal to those items that people would like to discuss? All right. Tomorrow is a US holiday, so I'm going to be probably offline. But if you're into celebrating Thanksgiving, have a great Thanksgiving. Otherwise, have a great Thursday. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Will.
Hi.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.